Hello everyone, welcome to Walks with Holly. If you're joining me for the first time, I'm Holly and I am a housewife and mommy of 4 kids. I am a homeschooling mom and we live in the beautiful state of Colorado. Now normally I would be taking a walk, but today, I don't know, the weather's been a bit iffy. Chance of showers later. There's been a little bit of lightning and thunder, so I thought I would just stay in for this chat. Now, I'm excited about what I'm going to talk about today because when I post this, it will be my husband and I's 10-year anniversary. And I thought I would just use this opportunity to share how my husband and I met. Now, I don't know. Some people might think boring. Well, I don't know. I thought our story was kind of unique and fun. I don't know, compared to some stories. But yeah, I just wanted to share how I, happened to meet the love of my life. And it was just, I don't know, it came about randomly on a trip that I took on a whim, on a trip that he took on a whim. And it just brought us together. And yeah, we got married soon after, but I will save for probably another vlog because the whole story I think is kind of in 2 parts as it is. So I'm just gonna start with part 1 of how we actually met and started dating. So it was the summer of 2009 and it was Memorial Weekend. So I guess it was not technically summer yet, but summer was approaching and I was invited on this camping trip, Memorial Weekend, by a friend of mine, and I just kind of the last minute, I think it was like a week before Memorial Weekend, and I just figured, yeah, I have got no plans, why not, camping sounded like fun, good way to start the summer. Well, it turns out my husband, back then, total stranger, he also was invited on the same camping trip by some other friends. So yeah, I mean, it was kind of friend of a friend sort of thing. Definitely not a setup in any way. It was just a bunch of people were invited on this camping trip. It was actually like an annual camping trip that a couple of gals put together. And it was mostly made up of single people. There might have been a couple or two there, but for the most part, it was singles in like their 20s and 30s. So anyways, yeah, I drove up there with actually 2 of my friends, and we were just gonna stay one night. Some people camped the entire long 3-day weekend, but yeah, we just wanted to do one night. And so we drove up this long, like off-road, crazy road to get up there. And we got there, and I gotta tell you, at that time in my life, and I'm not gonna get into the backstory, but that time in my life, I was not really interested in any relationship at all. I had just gotten out of a relationship prior to that, and at that time I was just about ready to write off the whole ever dating again, or at least taking a pretty long break before I was going to get back into any sort of dating relationship with any guy. So anyways, that was not on my mind at all, going on this camping trip. If there was going to be single guys there, I honestly didn't want to talk to anyone. I was perfectly fine just maybe hanging out with the girls. And I mean, I've talked to the guys, but I was not seeing it as an opportunity to meet anyone. Well, apparently my husband, he wasn't thinking that. And this is his side of the story. From what he tells people when they ask how we met, is he said when we pulled up, he had already been there one night, so a full day. And when we pulled up, he said that when I got out of the car, he saw me and thought to himself, that's the girl I want to marry. Now, of course, I didn't hear that story until later on when we were dating, maybe even engaged. But that is the story he tends to tell people. So anyhow, yeah, so I don't even remember meeting him right away. It was just kind of a thing where we started talking to different people. And yeah, we didn't necessarily hit it off at all. We just kind of like knew we were in the same camping area. And I didn't even catch his name, to be honest. And it wasn't until the next day my friends and I were getting ready to leave. And these are two friends that are girls, by the way. And one of them asked me if it'd be okay if we offered to have someone else ride back with us because we had an extra spot in the car. And they asked me because it was my car. And I was, no problem with that at all. So a few minutes later, my friend comes back and said, okay, I asked around and it sounds like Marty would like to ride back with us. And I was like, okay, great. Who's Marty? Like, I had no idea who she was talking about. And then I realized who he was. I'm like, oh yeah, I was talking to him by the campfire last night. He was kind of bugging me about something and telling me I wasn't roasting a marshmallow correctly. I don't remember the exact thing, but I just remember we were kind of, I don't know, he was kind of bugging me. So yeah, he ended up riding back with us. My friend offered him the front, so I got to ride next to him. And the whole way home, or back to taking him back to town to drop him off at his car, we kind of got to know each other and everything. And, I wasn't going to be rude, even though I wasn't interested in dating or anything. I just wasn't really interested in any, necessarily friendships with guys. So I don't know. I got to know him and I thought I would never see him again, to be honest. We dropped him off at his car. Last thing he says to kind of all of us, but I think he was directing it at me, was, where do you gals all go to church? I'd like to visit your church sometime. And because I didn't explain that, but most of the people in this group were Christians. And I just happened to have a bulletin in my car, and I just handed it to him and said, well, here's the bulletin. It has the address on it and the information on the time. So gave him that. And a week later, I went to church, and as soon as I walk in the building, who do I run into but Marty? Yes, he was definitely interested and I guess seeing me again. At that time, I was trying not to read into it. I was thinking like, well, maybe he was interested in finding a new church. I don't know. But needless to say, he started coming to my church. My church wasn't very big back then. It's the same church we go to now, but back then it was smaller. So maybe like a couple hundred people went there. So it was easy to run into someone, when we got there. So yeah, I mean, he started sitting with me in church, but at that time, I was really busy on Sunday afternoons, and I couldn't go and do anything with him. And I think a couple times he asked what I was doing after church, and there was kind of another backstory to that. We had some friends that, and again, this is kind of a long story, but family friends of mine, were from my hometown in Arizona, were actually, there was an accident and one of them was sent to a hospital here in Denver. He was shot, and I guess I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but he was paralyzed from the neck down. And they happened to be in Denver at a hospital just 10 minutes from where I was living. So I had made it a point to spend every Sunday afternoon just visiting this family because this is a family I grew up with. So anyways, I don't want to get into that whole story, but he thought I was making up excuses to not want to hang out with him. But I said, no, I really do have plans. That was just my thing. I started doing it the beginning of the summer because that is when the family, the husband and wife, more or less, had been transferred to the Denver hospital. And it was just had become part of my routine starting in the summer. So I always thought if he really wanted to get to know me better, there's other days of the week, but he just didn't, ask me about another time. I guess he just kept asking for the same day, hoping I would be available or maybe drop everything I was doing to go hang out with him. But anyhow, oh, and also one thing we had discovered, and we might have discovered this on the way back from the camping trip, but it turns out at that time, his house was less than a mile from where I was living at the time. I was living in a townhome with a roommate, and yes, seriously, we can walk from each other's house. There was like a trail too that we could just meet up in the middle or something. So I think one time at church that summer, he had said, "Hey, I've been out on the trails jogging every night. I never see you. I thought you said you go out jogging." And I'm like, "I do. I don't know why I don't see you either." But I just thought, okay, why is he out in the trails jogging? Is he trying to get exercise? I don't know. Try not to read into too many things. I figured if he was interested, he would ask me on a date. Well, he didn't for pretty much most of the summer. I mean, maybe 2 months. So here it was, again, we met Memorial Weekend. Here it was, the beginning of August. He finally decides he's going to confront me after church. And church is over. He asks if he can talk to me in the parking lot before I leave. So I walk out to the parking lot with him, and he just says everything that's on his mind. And he said, "I feel like you are avoiding me. I've been trying to get to know you, but I just feel like you're giving me the cold shoulder. I feel like you don't want to hang out with me." So anyways, I don't know. I mean, that wasn't necessarily the case, but I just was honest with him and said, "Well, you've never actually asked me on a date." And he said, "Okay, well, I'm just afraid if I did ask you that you would say no." And I said, "Well, you never know unless you ask." So he finally asked me on a date, and he said, "When are you available?" And I said, "I'm free tomorrow night," which was Monday night, the next day. So he said, "Okay, what time can I pick you up?" So yeah, we finally went on a date. And I gotta tell you, it was really rough the first date because, yeah, I mean, he was nervous. I was like wondering what's going on. Am I getting in another dating relationship? I did not even want to get into anything. But yeah, I mean, we got through the first date. It was awkward. And then eventually we had another date and another date. And then I realized that, yeah, I think this is the one. I think this is the guy that I could spend the rest of my life with. And yeah, I'll have to do part 2 another time. But that is how we met, and that is how we started dating. And it was, again, summer of 2009. And yeah, hopefully I'll do a part 2 if you're interested. But I'm glad that I could share the story of how we met on our 10-year anniversary. So that's Walks with Holly. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you do, please give me a thumbs up, and a comment would be awesome. Sorry, do people use the word awesome anymore? A comment would be wonderful. And if you feel at all led to, I would appreciate you hitting the subscribe button. Yeah, I hope you don't mind me doing a video now and then in my bedroom, but when the weather is iffy and I don't get a chance to do a video, then that's probably where I'm gonna end up. So I hope you will join me next time for my walk or just hanging out in my room. But again, I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I hope you're enjoying your summer. Take care.